I still remember the first time my hand started shaking at work. And I mean, really shaking not because of exhaustion or cleaning chemicals, but pure nerves, the kind that tell you something's about to happen and you're just a bystander in your own life, hoping the storm skips your street. It was sunrise in the Grand Hotel lobby, polished marble under my knees, the usual quiet hum of a new day, and suddenly sharp as a slap this voice just cuts through everything. Please, someone help. Does nobody here speak French? It was desperate, frantic, echoing off the gold ceilings, bouncing through all that silence. I swear, for a split second, I thought about disappearing right into the floor. No manager in sight, just me with my rag, looking like every other tired face in a housekeeping uniform, but that panic in her voice, it got me, you know? I looked up, and there she was, this woman dressed to kill, but her eyes said she was drowning. I don't even know why I did it, honestly. It just sort of came out fluent French, steady as if I'd been practicing for this exact emergency. The whole lobby went dead quiet, like everyone forgot what they were supposed to be doing. I could feel their stares burning right through my uniform. Every housekeeper's worst nightmare being noticed. And not in a good way. From the hallway, out steps the owner, Mr. Callahan, tall and sharp-eyed. The kind of guy who knows everything that goes on in his hotel and probably in half the city too. He zeroed in on me, and my heart just sort of stopped. Did I just screw up the only job keeping my family afloat? He called me over, voice so calm it was almost scarier than if he'd yelled. You, my office. Now. I walked behind him, feeling like the world was about to tilt. We get inside, him behind his desk, me still clutching that cleaning rag like a lifeline. He's got this way of studying you, like he's reading the story you never wrote down. First thing he asks is how many languages I speak. I tell him, and when I say 9, his eyebrows almost hit the ceiling. 9? And nobody knew. Nobody ever asked, I said, my voice shaking a little, but it felt good, like the truth was finally out in the open after living under my tongue for years. His manager slithered in, behind him always had it out for the housekeepers. This isn't about talent. It's about rules, she snapped, like helping a guest in another language was a crime against hospitality. I just looked at her and said, maybe it's the rules that need changing. The owner cut her off enough. I want to know more about you. Just like that, the air changed. I think he saw something in me that nobody else ever bothered to look for. Next day, I'm in his office again, harsh fluorescent lights overhead, like the truth gets stripped bare in there. He wants to know how a housekeeper ends up speaking 9 languages. So I tell him, I learned in between scrubbing toilets and folding sheets after my little brothers went to sleep, because when both your parents are gone and you're raising 2 kids by yourself, you have to hold on to the part of you that dreams of something better. That's a lot to carry, he says, voice softening, but all I could think was yeah. But who else is going to do it for us? That was the turning point, I guess. But it wasn't like the rest of the world was ready to throw a parade. Word spread, fast maybe too fast. At the next staff meeting, it felt like every pair of eyes was drilling holes in my back. You know that feeling? Like you're a walking target, and the only thing louder than their whispers is your own heart pounding. She thinks she's special now, one housekeeper muttered. Probably just a stunt, another said. I heard them, but I kept my head up. I'd carried heavier things than their doubts. At home, my brother Caleb burst in with a math book, needing help. I wiped the exhaustion off my face, did algebra with him at the kitchen table while the city's noise leaked through the cracks in our windows. My phone buzzed. Mr. Callahan again. Come to my office tomorrow. We need to talk about your role here. I barely slept that night. Was I about to get promoted or sent back to scrubbing in the shadows forever? The next morning, the hotel's fancy executive suite was packed, every big shot in a suit and tie. Mr. Callahan introduced me not as the help, but as the new international guest liaison. My jaw just about hit the carpet. Whispers exploded, half respect, half something nastier. That's when Garrett Price showed up as senior exec with a smile you wouldn't trust alone in a room with your wallet. From cleaning toilets to the top. Huh, he grinned. People like me don't lose power without a fight. I met his eyes, cool as I could fake. Then I guess you'll have to fight. But I'm not the enemy you expect. What came next was the stuff of office politics, nightmares, forged documents, meeting invites that never showed up, rumors spread so thin they were almost see-through. Garrett tried to pin a fake memo on me one afternoon, waving it in my face like a threat. Better fix this before it costs you your job. But I'd seen it coming. I handed him the real memo, signed and time-stamped, with a smile that said I wasn't scared anymore. Mr. Callahan watched it all play out. Thank you, Lena. This won't be overlooked. Garrett just faded out, his little power trip collapsing like a sandcastle in the rain. From that point, things shifted. My coworkers, the ones who used to whisper, started coming to me for advice. My voice actually meant something. Even the walls felt different, somehow. One evening, Mr. Callahan caught me alone and said, "They're still talking, Lena." I shrugged, let them. I'm not invisible anymore. He nodded, like he'd been waiting to hear me say that since day one. Months passed, and then Garrett's whole world finally came crashing down. Turns out, he'd been sabotaging me behind the scenes, but he wasn't as clever as he thought. They investigated, found everything, and he was gone by the end of the week. No drama, no last-minute speeches, just silence, the kind that feels like fresh air after a storm. So there I was, standing in the lobby as sunlight streamed through those giant windows, my phone buzzing with a text from my little brother. "You did it." I held my badge and smiled, because it wasn't just about me. It was for every person who ever felt small, who ever felt like their voice didn't matter. That was the real win. The hotel didn't change overnight, but you could feel it in the way people looked at each other, the way they started listening, not just hearing. I realized then that strength isn't about how quiet you can be or how much you can endure without being seen. It's about standing up, even when the world tells you to shrink. It's about making space for yourself, for the ones you love, for the truth. I still think about those late nights, textbooks open on the table, my brothers sleeping in the next room, the city outside so loud and full of dreams. Now, every time I walk through the lobby, sunlight glinting off the marble, I remember how easy it is for foundations to crack and how much harder, but more important, it is to build something new, something true. And yeah, some folks might say it's just a hotel job, but for me, it's proof. Proof that you can start at the bottom, ignored, maybe even invisible, and still rewrite your story, one choice at a time. You just have to believe your voice is worth hearing, even when nobody else does. So what about you? When was the last time you refused to stay quiet? Think about it as justice really about following the rules or breaking the ones that hold us back? Let me know in the comments, because honestly, I think the best stories start when we decide we deserve to be seen. You know what I mean?